Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your Uncle Steve here in Uncle Steve's Lounge for another edition of the Sunday Chill. And we want to talk about something today that was brought up about a week or so ago that came up. NFL Films compiled a list of each team's uh, four representatives on the Mount Rushmore, as you would say. And a lot of conversation about it. I wanted to continue a conversation that my brother from Atlanta Bird Gang, Tidy Jones, uh, navigated through last week and wanted to just finish it off here on a Sunday. What are your thoughts about the four players put on there? Did we have any omissions? Uh, is it a whole other four people on the list? Let's talk about it and chat together. What's going on, everybody? How you doing today on this beautiful yet hot Sunday evening here in the ATL? I am Uncle Steve. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge, and we appreciate you all joining us today on this Sunday. Um, Today, last day of June, so that means we come one step closer to training camp for the Atlanta Falcons. And of course, I'm sure everyone's anticipating big things out of the Atlanta Falcons this year. I've been hearing so many preview shows and things about how we're going to be. I hope that ends up being the case. We have plenty time to talk about that. And if you want to talk about it today, that's fine with me. We can add that on to the list of things to converse about. However, I did want to continue a conversation. My brother in arms, Tidy Jones, over at Atlanta Bird Gang. Please, if y'all haven't already, I'm sure you have, had a chance to check him out, whether it be on the YouTube page, where hopefully you're liking and subscribing videos over there, or the Facebook page that we have at Atlanta Bird Gang. And really what I wanted to talk about was this uh Mount Rushmore. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the conversation, Mount Rushmore, of course, the big monument in uh South Dakota, which has four presidents on there, and Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, and Roosevelt on there, and widely thought to be the four most popular presidents. I'm sure there are current era presidents who think they should be on that list too, but nevertheless, we'll we'll keep going. So NFL Films got together and they came up with a list for each team's Mount Rushmore. Now, kind of almost in the vein of the GOAT talk, greatest of all time, there's going to be room for a little bit of error here or there. I just am wondering, and I had to ask myself, when it comes to Mount Rushmore, is it about legacy or is it about popularity? Because it really does seem like a lot of folks are caught up. Look, quarterback, I can understand. That's the most important position in North American sports. But everything else, I think it's almost unfair because we had quite a few pretty good players on our team uh, in the 70s and 80s that aren't on this list. It is not any disrespect to the players that were named, and we'll go over the list in a second. But I'm wondering a lot of time, and I've heard this term recency bias, which is pretty accurate when you start talking about things of today. People tend to we want to elevate folks before their time. See Caitlin Clark, WNBA. See Anthony Edwards. Uh, Today, this past playoff run, you had folks ready to make him the next Michael Jordan until uh, they got beat in 5 games. So we are in a society now where you gotta be verified quickly, and I just don't agree with that. I think you should take everything into account before you hurry up and you know name folks on this list. Now, I'm not saying the list isn't close, but I think there is room to have a discussion. And again, great discussion last week that Tidy had this past week, and I was even a part of that. And I asked him, I said, "Yeah, buddy, do you mind me continuing the conversation on this week?" And he was gracious enough to not mind me doing that. So I posed to you. I said NFL Films says Atlanta Falcons Mount Rushmore includes quarterback Matt Ryan. Not really a surprise on that one. Michael Vick, quarterback. Deion Sanders, cornerback, and Julio Jones, wide receiver. I don't have a problem with any of these people being considered. But as someone who's been around a while and thinking about a long time ago when we had players other than Michael Vick that were included in this franchise, I think I just be have to be fair to those who started this thing before some of the recent players, I should say. Now, let me make it clear. I do not disagree with the addition of Matt Ryan, and I do not disagree with the addition of Julio Jones. But we got to talk about Deion Sanders, and we have to talk about probably the most polarizing of this, Michael Vick. And I appreciate as everyone coming in. If you come on in here and take a seat with your uncle, we appreciate you coming. Hit that like button on there to let everybody know that we are doing good business for you out here. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We can get this thing robust before the season starts. We would appreciate it. Gonna have a lot more for you guys and gals once the season gets cranky. So my argument against Deion Sanders, it's not about his ability. Obviously, his ability is one of the best cornerbacks, but I when you start talking about the Atlanta Falcons Mount Rushmore, Dion was here for, if I'm not mistaken, 6 years, and the last 3, he really thrived. So I give him full credit, 91 to 93, he was all-pro cornerback, outstanding ambassador for the city. Of course, at that time, he was with the Braves too, but that shouldn't count in the Mount Rushmore thing. This is for the NFL. And I'm not here to tell you that he was not a very good cornerback. He was. One would think he may have peaked right around the time he was getting ready to leave. He was Defensive Player of the Year once he left and went to San Francisco. But you can argue he was playing on that level probably in 92 and 93. Is he one of the top 4 of all time? And this is not and shouldn't be regulated to position. Cornerback, of course, is a high profile position today in sports, in football, I should say. But I think I have to be kind of um play the contrarian in this because I do feel like we had some stalwarts on our offensive line in Jeff Van Note and Mike Ken. Perennial Pro Bowlers, all pro offensive linemen. To start our franchise, we had a guy who many thought on any other team he would have been a star in Tommy Novus. Now, in true transparency, I didn't see Tommy Novus a lot. The very end, I heard about him, but that was right before he left or retired. But you cannot erase the All-Pro designations he had and the 5 Pro Bowls he had. I just am saying for someone who was even here for 6 years, should his legacy go over a lot of guys who've been here for the long haul because he was a little flamboyant? And Dion was. It's no secret. Dion was great, but Dion played with an attitude. Dion played with some flair. He was arguably the Ric Flair of football at that time. And that's not a knock against him. I guess I'm saying, is that something to is that part of why he's on this list? And then I go to number 7, Michael Vick. I was having a conversation with my son about this as we were talking about Hall of Fame candidates coming on. And he was saying, do you think Michael Vick will ever make the Hall of Fame? And I know for football fanatics and people say the immediate answer would be, man, no. How is he going to make it? I think Michael Vick has a chance 15, 20 years from now when as the evolution of the quarterback position has become more and more sculptured in the type of athlete he was. So hear me out. I'm not trying to tell you Michael Vick, as his career has said, has had a Hall of Fame career, but his contributions can't be ignored. We had never seen an athlete like him play at quarterback. I mean, we may see one in the future, but I haven't seen. So will those contributions at this moment look like something you put in the Hall of Fame? No. But maybe 20 years from now, when people go back and look at, man, do you know the advent of this athletic, freakishly good athlete started with Michael Vick and the chance Arthur Blank took on drafting him here? I think that's something that should be celebrated. Now, does that make him designated as one of the 4 top players in Atlanta franchise history? I'm not quite sure. I tell you what it does tell me, this particular list. It tells me that we don't have a strong history in this franchise of great players. And that's no disrespect to the Florida's name. It's just like we don't have a lot to choose from. You talk about franchises like Dallas, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and either of the New York teams, they have a myriad of folks to choose from. And there are tough decisions. The Atlanta Falcons, you really only have a couple of tough decisions. But for these two, I'm just not sure, y'all. I'm just not sure. But I would like to know how you think. So feel free to put in the chat. We'll go over to the chat here in a second and see what we got going on. Brother David Starks is in the house. What's up, David? Good to see you here on this Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Other brother in here, Dexter Owens, is here. What's up, Dexter? Good to see you on a Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Greg is here. Appreciate you, Greg. Thank you for all joining us on a Sunday afternoon to talk about this a little bit. My brother, 95 North Falcons talk show. That's Berto, if y'all didn't know that. What's going on, sir? He's a good Sunday afternoon, Unc. If any Falcon players that belong on Mount Rushmore should be measured by the success they've had with the Falcons team, I think that's super important as well. I think a lot of folks are very quick. And again, I'm not trying to knock the contributions of Deion Sanders, because that's what it seems like I'm doing. As a matter of fact, folks, I'm gonna put this in the chat just so if you all want to come on and chat about it, we can on here. But yeah, that's something to think about. A lot of folks want to automatically lump in the San Francisco and Dallas years and credit them to Atlanta. You really can't. He wasn't here. So I disagree. But that's a very good point. I think it should be measured by the success here and only here, as far as I'm concerned. David Starr says, I'm okay with the 4, but I wouldn't be upset if they replaced Vic with William Andrews. Not saying he was a better overall player, but he was a better overall Falcon. That is absolutely perfectly said. If you're going to make a list of the top Atlanta Falcons, I'm not saying Deion didn't do his thing. But if you really, and I know some of you may not have been around back then, folks, William Andrews meant that as much to this franchise during his time than Michael Vick. And I would almost argue even more. From 79 to 86, William Andrews, when he wasn't hurt, was the best player on the field. And you can argue during 3 playoff runs that he was very instrumental in all of them. Well, I apologize. 2 playoff runs. He wasn't here for 78 team. But he made immediate dividends on this team. That would definitely be somebody I would think about replacing. Definitely. Berto says, at the time, I feel folks throw names because it feels good, in my opinion. By the way, 10 weeks till week 1. Yes, sir. We are so ready for week 1 to get here. Absolutely. Isn't that crazy? It'll be here before you know it. It'll be here before you know it. Like I said, today's last day of June. Get into July this week. Crazy. David says, I will say we have to give Prime and Vic credit for getting people talking about the Falcons. I'm sure that factored in their decisions to put them up here. I guarantee you that's the biggest reason they put them in there. And I have no problem with the contribution of making my favorite teams, the franchise, making them relevant in the NFL. There's no doubt that Deion Sanders If there was a list of relevancy, then Deion Sanders and Michael Vick, and I probably put Michael Vick a smidge ahead of Deion for putting us on the national map. I know the Deion is kind of fuzzy to me, quite honestly. The Deion Sanders, the too legit to quit year was just coming off Desert Storm, so I was kind of in and out. But obviously, I knew about the success of the team. But if you really think about what Mike Vick did as far as making this franchise relevant, he really put this team on the map at the beginning of the century. I mean, yeah, that's not even an argument. Dexter says, Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, John Abraham, Deion Sanders, Roddy White. Don't like how Julio left, so I'm not with him being there. My opinion, he was a dog, but I don't know how he did blank the way out. Yeah, I don't like that either. Yeah, that whole situation. I'm sure that will be in a documentary later to discuss how that went out. Yeah, his don't get me wrong, I think there are still a lot of fans here who have much love for Julio, but that whole Shannon Sharp debacle on the phone and all of that stuff. We'll hear about the story later on, but I don't know. Brother James, what's going on, James? Hadn't seen you in a while. Yes, happy birthday to our Falcons. This is their 58th birthday as a franchise here. So, yes, happy birthday, Falcons. Happy birthday. Aww. Thank you, sir. Scott, birthday boy in the house. What's going on, Scott? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. I appreciate it. The aforementioned Tidy Jones with Atlanta Bird Gang is in here. What is going on, my friend? And y'all, again, make sure y'all check out the Atlanta Bird Gang channel on YouTube. He's at Deion 5 years. My apologies. 5 years. So, yeah, that's right. 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. I thought it was 6. I'm sorry. My bad. Berto says, I agree, Uncle. Discussion has to be had. While he was a staple of Atlanta, he made his name outside Atlanta, meaning the Colorado Buffaloes coach. That's true. Jimmy Wayne's in the house. What's going on, Jimmy? Good to see you, brother. He said Matt Ryan, Tommy Nobis, Julio Jones, and Todd McClure. You know what? I was going to mention Todd McClure, two folks, and I'm not even trying to say that Todd McClure was a perennial Pro Bowler or anything like that. But as far as the franchise is concerned, he was absolutely very relevant as far as a Atlanta Falcon, as a all-time Falcon, which is really what the Mount Rushmore should be about, the Falcons interaction, not about what they did when they left, but as an Atlanta Falcon. That's a good list. David says Deion Sanders' status as an all-time great is what got him on this list, but that status wasn't gained in a Falcons uniform, as great as he was. You could argue that the genesis of his greatness may have started in the too legit to quit year. And I keep going back to that because quite honestly, that was what it was. It was the attitude, the swag, MC Hammer at his height. They making videos together, all that good stuff. That was good business. That was good business back then for the Falcons too. The change to the black uniforms with Jerry Glanville. All that stuff added to the persona and to the culture here. And I give Deion a lot of credit for that because at that time it was stuffy. Even with the success that the Falcons had with the playoff years prior to 91, you can make a case to say but it felt a little different. It did feel a little different. James says the Falcons will make another Super Bowl appearance by their 60th year in the NFL. Well, I tell you what, I hope they do, my friend. I hope they do. I hope that run starts this year. I really do. This should be a very interesting transition year for the Falcons. So let's hope that one of the new players coming up can add to this list. Let me I see my brother here in the background in here. Let me see. Let me let him get himself together there. I see down in Central Georgia, they have a hard time kind of getting stuff squared away. I know they. I'm trying to see does that heat have him. Brother Tiny is in the house. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, Steve. How we doing?
Man, I'm doing well, and I can't tell you again how much I told everybody at the very beginning. Just I had a conversation offline with you through Messenger, and I was it was such a great conversation you were having this week. And if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of just play the rewind button and encapsulate what you got. What was your feedback for the most part when you were talking to the fans about this Mount Rushmore and what they thought as a whole?
Like most conversations in our fan base, it was a variety of different opinions, different perspectives. As you've been talking about, during your initial show, I think for the most part, people accepted it, but at the same time, you really never know when you're on your own personal broadcast, because these are normally the people that enjoy hearing you talk. So a lot of times they're gonna have favoritism towards you. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. It makes sense. I know you got a lot of feedback when you were talking about Matt Ryan and Julio. Remind me again your overall thought about the four that were on this list as far as Vic, Dion, Matt, and Julio. Is it accurate? And if it's not accurate, what who would you replace on this list?
In my personal opinion, I think the list is 1,000% accurate. I would not replace one person that was selected on this list.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was done.
I'll ask you this. Do you think, and then there was the question I asked on the outside of the title. Do you think this list was truly made out of legacy or popularity? I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking. And offensive linemen will never get their due in the NFL. Sorry, you're not gonna see them on commercials. Sorry, you're not gonna see them on big promotional stuff unless they're just out of this world. The late great Larry Allen was never propped up on commercials with folks during his incredible run as a Dallas Cowboy offensive lineman. You didn't see Anthony Munoz making a lot of appearances on Letterman or Johnny Carson and stuff during his time. Do you think this list may have been a little based more on popularity? The reason I'm asking, because there are more accomplished Atlanta Falcons when I start talking about Bill Fralick, Mike Ken, Jeff Van Note, yes, even Tommy Nobis. Or do you think you'll hold true to this and just say, no, from a legacy standpoint, I believe these four are the best that we've had in franchise history?
Great question. Before I answer that, Steve, let me do a sound check with you. How my sound is? I'm on my Bluetooth in my car. I know it can be tricky.
You sound good. I can hear you. I think everybody else, folks, if you can, I hear you perfectly.
Okay, awesome. To answer your question, I think in this particular case with the Falcons, Mount Rushmore, I think it was a combination of both. If I'm being honest, legacy combined with popularity. Um, to expound on that, this goes back to something you mentioned earlier in your show when you said this list just shows you we don't have a long line of just great players that have played for the Atlanta Falcons. So in regard to that, when you do a Falcons Mount Rushmore, when you do Arizona Cardinals route Mount Rushmore, the teams who don't have any legacy or real true history of winning, people who are fans and people who are not fans of the franchise, they're gonna look at popularity combined with legacy because we can't go back to 1984 Falcons Super Bowl team and say, hey, who got these guys at Lombardi? So you got to look at it. I think people look at a combination of both when you got a franchise like ours, unfortunately.
I mean, and that's the shame. And maybe that's why in recent memory, when you start looking at, last year we just got Jesse Bates here, and you'll have people talk. He's the best safety we've ever had. And I was like, and Scott Case is like, whoa, hold on. And William Moore is like, well, wait, 1 second. And it is a shame because we haven't had that consistency of winning football in our franchise, that any glimmer of hope, we're ready to put people in positions above what they are. I think that was one of the things. To be honest, I'm closer to thinking Mike Vick in this list more legitimately than Deion Sanders. Here's my thought on Deion, and I just want you to rebut whether you agree or not. I think Deion Sanders is one of the greatest football players to ever play the game. I truly believe that. But as an Atlanta Falcon, I do feel like his last 3 years were really good. But even he could only get us one playoff win. And I know he didn't do it by himself. But only his presence was only good enough to get us one playoff win there. And I know it's a team sport. I get that. Does team success play into how people think you're great? Because I do think, he had one playoff win in his run. Give Mike Vick credit. At least he has two. I just feel like Deion is just a little over talked about as a Falcon. Thoughts?
As far as Deion goes, I think the people who selected this list and talked about it when they sat down and had their mastermind meeting on who they picked, they looked at players, especially again going back to the Atlanta Falcons franchise. When were the Falcons prevalent on a mainstream stage? When did us people who don't care nothing about the Falcons, outside of this is part of our jobs, when did we first look at the Atlanta Falcons? And who led that charge to make us look at them? Now, outside of the run of the 1980 team, outside of that, and that was a little bit before my time, if I'm being honest. I was here on Earth, but I had a bottle in my mouth.
Milk, I'm assuming.
Yes. But outside of that 1980 team, like, who put the Falcons on the national stage? As we like to say, who put Atlanta on the map? And I think you got to point to that 1991 Falcons team because that was must-see TV.
Yes, it was.
For somebody who wasn't a Falcons fan. Even a casual fan was like, "Oh man, I got to look at Deion, man." Deion really brought that excitement, that flair in a modern day sense to the NFL. You know what? I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna do some high stepping. I'm gonna entertain y'all. Like you said, he was the Ric Flair of the NFL. Yes. He was a true showman. We may lose a lot of games here in Atlanta, but you know what? You're gonna feel like the price of admission was worth it when you watch these Dirty Birds play. And I really think when you have a team that don't have any Super Bowls, barely got two handfuls worth of playoff victories, that's the stuff you gotta look at. Who made this brand a national brand in Falcons history? And I think that's why primetime makes the list.
You're turning me, which I don't like. You're turning my opinion. you're, you're making me agree. So I'm not, I completely understand what you're saying. And I'm glad you pointed out something to you, because you and I have this conversation all the time about, ages and stuff. And I'm about a decade your senior, and as far as things are concerned. So I will tend to be a little more defensive about things that happen in the late 70s, early 80s, because I actually saw it and actually went to the games and could tell you a little bit of the atmosphere about what was going on. These are the same things that you're going to be fighting about later on when somebody's going to tell you that uh, Anthony Edwards Jr. is better than LeBron. Like later on, you know what I'm saying? When you'll go back and say, "Oh man, no, no, no! I'm telling you, LeBron was the truth." And it's always going to be a little bit of, you know, just a little bit of your opinion in it. So obviously I respect your opinion, but I also respect folks who are a little younger than me that will understand where I'm coming from. It's no disrespect to Deion Sanders. Definitely no disrespect to Michael Vick. I'll even let you expound on Michael Vick even more, because you gave an idea. You're right. From a first time Atlanta view, Deion Sanders did bring that. Michael Vick took it to a whole different level as far as he was concerned, in my opinion. What say you about Michael Vick's contributions to the Atlanta Falcons uh, relevancy?
Man, Michael Vick was a true rock star in Atlanta. We just spoke about Deion making the Falcons must-see TV. Michael Vick took that to a whole nother level, internationally. I know people, I have friends and relatives who are not even Falcons fans, who don't even live in the state of Georgia, weren't born in the state of Georgia. There have been times we talked about Michael Vick. They say, "Man, Toddy, I can't stand the Falcons, but I had a Vick jersey." So that's an impact on a totally different level. And you look at things like Vick having his own signature shoe with Nike, and I know this is things unrelated to playing on the football field, but you got a signature shoe with Nike. You're on the cover of Madden. Name brand endorsements. We had never had an athlete outside of maybe Evander Holyfield, but that's boxing. Right. We had never had an Atlanta athlete who just had such national acclaim before Michael Vick, and there was some winning with Vick. I said this on the page not long ago, and some people understood what I was saying, and some people didn't. But Michael Vick as a starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. I'll repeat this. Michael Vick as a starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons only had one losing season in his career. That was in 2006. And people were like, "No, we didn't have a back-to-back winning season until Matt Ryan." I said, listen to what I said. Michael Vick as the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons only had one losing season. There was some injuries, of course, with Vick, as we all know, but my point is, when the guy played, we won. He was 500 in the playoffs. And for a franchise like maybe the Patriots or the Steelers, they're like, "Oh, that ain't good." But for the Falcons, you know what? That's pretty dang good if you got a 500 record in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And Vick was just a whole different monster nationally, man. And I really, to the point of Deion getting in, I think that's why Mike Vick gets in also.
Well, just to piggyback off that point, at that time, with that second playoff win, he tied the franchise record with Chris Chandler for the most playoff wins in history with 2. And Chris Chandler did that in one playoff run. So
Right.
you're absolutely 100% accurate about that. Then remember that year that you're talking about that Vic got hurt. He came back and won 3 out of the last 5 games I think they played. It was either 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4, 3 out of 5. Yeah,
3 out of 5. So you're absolute. When you posted that, and the first thing I wanted to do, hold on, let me check Tidy out. Let me see this. You went to the geeky thing and look on the tab. And before I start typing, I said, no, he's right. Because he didn't have a losing record. That run, matter of fact, between 2002 and 2004, White Vic was pretty goddamn good, man. He was pretty good. And just to think if he would have studied his playbook, Tiny.
He was. And I know some of the criticism of Vic, they'll say, well, he couldn't pass the ball, he didn't have the greatest stats, which is true. If you're looking at it from that surface level of, I'm just going to look at the stats. But I've come to realize about Michael Vick is you cannot tell the story of Michael Vick by looking at the stat books.
No.
Because Michael Vick was simply a weapon. He was a weapon. He was the weapon on that team. You know what I mean? You can even look at Warwick Dunn prior to Vic and after Vic. Look at T.J. Duckett prior to Vic and after Vic. All of that is the Michael Vick effect. So when you judge and look at Mike, and I know a lot of people feel some way about the Dolphins stuff still, so they're never gonna give him his credit. But hey, man, he did some amazing things for this franchise on the field and off the field.
Yeah, I do feel like he really doesn't get his due as far as that's concerned. And the further away we get from all the youthful nonsense of went down, it's more forgivable in my opinion, as most things are and stuff. I notice I'm getting outnumbered because it seems like I'm in a nice, cozy, air-conditioned place. You're in your hot car, and now that joins us in his hot car, our buddy Erdo is in his car. So should I leave my space and go to my car, or do I stay in here with this nice air conditioning?
Steve, it would take you literally 12 minutes to get out of that mansion, so you just stay put.
What's up, Berto? How you doing, my friend? Uh-oh. I think he's frozen on there. Did that freeze on there? Well, while he's getting up there, we got 2 other people in here. He is the Desbian Destroyer. My brother Travis is in the house. What's going on, Travis? How you doing? Let me give it to you just one good time.
I love Desmond.
Just for old time's sake. Just to make you feel good. And another Desmond fan we're gonna bring on here. My brother Coach Straight.
Don't do me like that, Steve. Don't do me like that.
Coach still know he got that jersey in the background, Tidy. He still
I never even bought one. I wasn't even gonna waste my money on that.
I got 2.
Oh my God, Tidy.
He got the 4 and the 9.
Don't feel bad. I got a Tat McKinley jersey.
I see everybody else is joining on here, fellas. I'm gonna get y'all opinion in one second. I just wanted to make sure I welcome my brother Jamal's in the house. What's going on, Jamal? How you doing, brother? DJ Demetrius is in the house. What's going on, Demetrius? Thank you for joining us on here. My brother Thomas T-Bone, Rise Up Falcons. My brother, appreciate you. DSGB is in the house. What's going on, man? Says Roddy White, my all-time favorite receiver over Julio. You and not Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan disagree about that, but we'll leave you on there anyway. So fellas, I gotta ask. So I'll start with you, Travis, because you came on here. You came on here first. Any disagreement with the four guys put up on the list when you start talking about Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Michael Vick, or Deion Sanders? Do you have a problem with that particular list?
Honestly, I don't. The only one I may have had a little disagreement with was Mike Vick, but then thinking about it, as you and Title was talking, you look over the years of our team, and like has there ever been a player other than Dion that you can go and say he was one of the best at his position, or he was one of the top five at his position while he was here? Julio and Dion, that's really probably the only two. With Mike Vick, but with Mike Vick, here's the strange, not strange, but the dichotomy when it comes to Mike Vick. He was a black quarterback in a major black city. He was really, in my opinion, Uncle Steve, I know you've been down with the squad for longer,
Oh yeah.
but he was the first Falcon player that I seen where little kids would run around and be like, I want to be like him. No other, I didn't really see that from other players. Even with Dion, as much as Dion did, Mike Vick had that effect on the younger generation and people outside of this city that said, "Hey, I want to be like that guy, Mike Vick. He's that dude. I want to be like him." And even if you look at players that are in the league now, a lot of them are talking about, "Oh yeah, I grew up with Mike Vick, or I played with Mike Vick on Madden, on the Mike Vick experience." People are still looking up the YouTube, the Mike Vick experience. We all know what happened. We know, it is what it is. It happened. But guess what? I bet you people are still out there buying Mike Vick jersey. I think it was said on your show, Toddy. You can still go in the Falcon store and get a Mike Vick jersey.
Oh yeah.
You you
So
you
that
can't you can't go in the Falcon store and get a Jeff Van Note jersey or a Mike Ken. No disrespect to them because they were great players for the organization. But as far as the polarizing figure, Michael Vick was it. He was the one outside of Dion that brought outside eyes to the team. He wasn't maybe the best at what he did, but his figure, his aura brought outside eyes in. So I'm not mad that he would be picked for that list. If you look at the actual um, Mount Rushmore, are they the four greatest presidents of all time? No, but if you look at who's on there, they might be the four most polarizing figures that we've ever had up to that point when it was created.
I, I do have to correct you. I was traveling outside of Warner Roberts store in Warner Robbins, Georgia, and I did see a Marcus Mariota jersey right
Here
there
you
on
go.
sale for
that
$5.
that
So
that,
there was
I'm
there
sure.
was
I'm
one.
sure. I'm sure you can find him and Desmond in this great place that they call the thrift store. They both in there
Let
for
me guess,
free.
you got a special order of Felipe Frank's jersey, huh?
Oh, bruh. All right, now you about to get cut off. You talking about
he was
illegally.
he was in Warner Robins, Texas, or Warner
Do do not knock the 478.
Colorado.
Big 478 energy is in here right now.
Dre, talk to me, Dre, because I know you've been listening on side. I appreciate you jumping in here. Uh, any amendments to the list or anything or
Yeah,
anything you would want to add?
I'm going to take as I normally do. I'm going to take the unpopular opinion. And it hurts me to my core because he is who made me Atlanta Falcons fan, and that's Dion. Yes, Dion is great, but I don't think he did as much for the Falcons as fans want to believe he did. I don't think he became Dion until he left and went elsewhere. So for me, I'd rather have again and again, this that now is my fandom talking. I'd rather have a Babs or Abraham in there over Dion. Dion is a Hall of Famer, great player, absolutely. But as far as what he did for the Falcons, I can't put him over people like that, over a truth. If we're gonna keep that defensive lane, I can't put him over. I mean, even a true font, even you know what I mean. Like, it's just so many great Falcons players that we've had who actually stayed and produced for us that, in my opinion, Dion didn't do. Hell of a player, Hall of Famer, one of the greats. But when he was here as a Falcon, I don't. I think people's fandom and what he did in his later years make them say that he is one of the greatest Falcons, in my opinion.
I, I feel like you've been reading my notes that I put down because you put it as probably perfect as I said, and it's not disrespect to Dion. When Dion
No,
those last 3 years, like I said, 91 through 93, Dion absolutely elevated. He brought the eyes, he did all of that. But when you start talking about all-time favorites, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm a big boy, so I watch the line. I the lack of respect that Mike Ken and Jeff Van Note and those guys get for their consistent additions to all pro teams and Pro Bowls. Uh, when you start talking about number of interceptions, I think people, yeah, Dion, he would be flashy and bring it back. But man, we had a Roland Lawrence in here who was a first team All Pro uh, cornerback during his day and led the franchise with 39 interceptions. He only played for us. It's even Roddy White to a certain extent. Now I know he would have preferred to probably play another year or two, but his legacy to me, I'm not saying his gifts or he was better, but his legacy as a Falcon will be stronger to me than Deion Sanders because he was here grinding with Matt during the majority of Matt's big time run. So
right.
it's not a slight to Dion, uh, but I'm just trying to see, and I'm addressing it to Toddy because I know Toddy wants
Prime,
Dion
prime
in there. Yeah,
example. Prime example. I think Dion is the equivalent to now I just was thinking about it, now I can't think of his name. Tight end, Tony Gonzalez.
yeah,
In my opinion, he's the equivalent of Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez is a great player. He came and played great for us for a couple of years, but you're not going to put him in the above the guys who were here for years and years and grinded with us.
nope,
In my opinion, you just can't do it. You know.
nope, nope. Toddy, I want to hear your rebuttal to what Dre was saying, not from a matter just to disagree, but just to think about what he was saying, his line of thinking and thinking on that, because I think he probably said it better than I could have said it.
Okay, we have to first think about what we're doing. Mount Rushmore. The real Mount Rushmore is for everybody to see. Not just people in Georgia or Nebraska or Idaho, or this is for everybody to see all over the world. So when tourists come in from other countries and whatever, when you go to Mount Rushmore, this is for everybody to see. So you have to keep that in mind when we're talking about our players. This is for everybody to see. So if we were to build, you were to take those guys off Stone Mountain and put the Falcons Mount Rushmore. Look, we want everybody to come see that. I'm sorry, but don't nobody want to see Desmond Trufant and learn his history.
True, 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 true. Of
I'm
course, yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry, and I love him. Roddy White, my favorite guy, but on a grand scale, nah, he was cool. He's like y'all Chad Johnson. No, don't nobody want to come see Jeff Van Note. Don't nobody want to come see Mike Ken. And shout out to the offensive line. But unless you were like an Anthony Munoz, you're just not going to get that credit. So when you're doing Mount Rushmore, you got to understand you're appealing to the masses. You know, like what name does the masses recognize in terms of importance for your franchise? You know, so yeah, Deion is going to be there. Of course, Vic is going to be there. And I feel like the two untouchables thus far in franchise history would be Julio and Matt Ryan. You know, I feel like those are just the cement guys. And, you know, we can debate these other two. But for the masses, and I think sometimes we'll get caught up into like who was the greatest in franchise history, and that's a conversation to have. But don't lose thought of this is the Mount Rushmore. This is for everybody. This is not like the Falcons Ring of Honor, but this is the Mount Rushmore. That's why when they did the Ring of Honor, Deion was not one of the first players that made the Ring of Honor. But when you talk about the Mount Rushmore where everybody gets a piece of this action, I think you got to put Vic and Deion in there. And this is how great Deion was, y'all. Then I'm going to shut up. Like when we say, you know, Deion really didn't make his name in Atlanta, you know, he was probably better in Dallas or San Francisco. Deion made in just 5 years, he made 3 Pro Bowls. He really, from a playing standpoint, he really should have made at least 4, but he didn't make in the first 2 years because he played for the Falcons. But he made 3 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pro teams. Now, to me, the All-Pro teams, and I'm sure you guys would agree, that's way more important than the Pro Bowl.
Absolutely.
And I'll ask you guys, how many players can you say got 2 first-team Pro Bowls on their resume as a Falcon? Matt Ryan don't have that. I think Julio has it, but it ain't many in this franchise history.
Like Mike Ken.
Right. I totally understand what you're saying, Tidy, but here's the only thing I would say. And again, I'm not saying he don't belong there. I'm saying, to me, he is out of the whole list, he's the only shaky one to me. Because if you put 20 people that are not Falcons fans, just 20 normal running the mill, just football fans, would Deion be more known for being an Atlanta, or would he be more known for being a Dallas Cowboy? So would he be in Dallas Cowboys Mount Rushmore before he would be in the Falcons Mount Rushmore? That's what I'm saying. Like, he's more known. He is Deion. Most people know Deion from being Deion in Dallas, not from Atlanta. Only those of us who are Atlanta Falcons fans probably even realize, you know, of course your older people do too, but you know, this newer generation, people younger than me, most of them probably didn't even ever know he played for Atlanta. That's my only issue with that is I would think that he would be more of a Dallas Cowboys Mount Rushmore than Atlanta Falcons, but I'm not mad at it though. But to me, that's the only shaky one.
Go ahead, Ty.
I don't know. I mean, of course, Dallas fan base is 10 times as big as ours, but I think your typical casual football fan, they know that Deion played in Atlanta, and they know he was great in Atlanta also. Deion really made his name prime time in Atlanta. Most of Deion's antics came in Atlanta. You know, when I say antics, I don't mean that with a negative connotation. I mean most of the dancing, the showboat, the trash talking. I mean, he was Deion wherever he went. But if you follow his career, whether you say this is good or bad, but if you follow his career, he kind of started to tone it down once he left Atlanta. You know, he got with San Francisco. He was still Deion, but hey, you got Jerry Rice in the locker room. You got Steve Young in the locker room. You know, you ain't going to be necessarily the biggest voice. You may be the most flamboyant, but, you know, you're going to tone it down just a little bit. You know, Dallas, he still did his thing. But when you was in Atlanta, and that's just the city of Atlanta, you know, a lot of times players, you're gonna embrace the city's personality. But when he was in Atlanta, man, it was showtime. It was prime time. We gonna dance. We gonna do these laterals and try to score every time somebody got an interception. And you didn't really see that, with other teams. Like I said, you could say that whether it be good or bad. But my point is, I think it's fair to say that a great deal of people do still remember him and consider him an Atlanta Falcon because that's what we drafted him at. And when you look at these highlights, you see just as many Falcons highlights on YouTube with Deion as you see with the Cowboys. I think outside of that 1 year with San Francisco where he was just an alien on the field and he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Player of the Year. Yep.
I really think some of his most notable highlights are in the Falcons jersey. And maybe that's my bias, but I'm just saying most notable highlights are in a Falcons jersey.
I think the nostalgia does bring you back to him in a Falcons jersey. I think after all is said and done, it's kind of weird that you say that because a lot of times when you see people talk about him, the first reel they do bring up is the Atlanta Falcons jersey, and it's not even the 80s. It's the him and Jerry Glanville doing their thing in 91 with that first playoff team. That's some very good conversation about that, and I'm glad that we piggyback off of that because I really did want to bring that back up to the forefront because that was such a great conversation you started the other day, Tidy, and I appreciate you letting me finish that up. I do have a couple of questions for y'all about the current Falcons, if y'all don't mind, about 10 more minutes. Y'all good? Before I go on here, let me get my brother Greg. Greg giving me a super chat on here, so we see what my brother Greg got going on. Super chat. In case y'all didn't know, that was Tidy on background. Greg Custom Kicks is in the house. Greg, y'all make sure y'all check Greg out at Greg Custom Kicks. He says, Greg, I'm ready for the reveal when you are Unc. And the reveal is he actually has the 2024 version of my shoes coming out for me, and we will have a reveal, brother. I am going to get with you. I will holler at you offline. It can't be this week. It will probably be about another week or so, but I'll get with you to let you know, and we will do a reveal on here so we can get my brother's work out there. He has worked with some of the greatest folks like Atlanta Bird Games, Tidy Jones in his great shoes, Big Gip from Goody Mob, and of course Uncle Steve in that order from greatest to scrub. So as far as I'm concerned, I can't wait to show those off, man, and show what those look like. More important, appreciate y'all giving my brother Greg some love on there for some nice shoes. Antonio James is in the house. What's going on, Antonio? He said, what's up, Deion made his name in Atlanta. Remember, he was an Atlanta Brave when baseball was still the #1 sport in America. Also, his first shoes outsold Air Jordan. Now, the Brave stuff, I cannot add on here because the Brave stuff don't have anything to do with the Atlanta Falcons, Mount Rushmore. His popularity may have skewed a little bit from that. If you told me we're talking about Atlanta sports history, that's a whole different story. Deion is 100% on that list. Are we human and can't help but to forget how great he was in that World Series against Toronto? No, we can't. So I get where you're going, but I don't want to add that on to this list. That would help Tidy's point, which I don't need him being right on my stream. So I'll leave that. I'll leave that off. Brother Ryan is in the house. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing at the Birdcage? Y'all make sure y'all check him out on the Birdcage LLC. I saw him the other day. Had Lincoln Kennedy on the show, former Falcons offensive lineman. Had him on there. Good job doing your thing out there, my brother. Keep up what you're doing. Okay, let me ask y'all a question about the upcoming season 2024. As I mentioned earlier, today's the last day of June. We are getting hyped. I don't mind talking about the Atlanta Falcons ad nauseum during the off season, but it's only so many times I can talk about who's going to make the fourth string wide receiver during the month of June and early July because it's just repetitive. But let me ask y'all a question. As it stands right now, and I know we will say it every year, and it's hard to. We're Falcon fans. What is your level from 1 to 10 of anticipation and excitement of this Atlanta Falcons team? 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Of what we have coming into this year. It is your level on 10 where you're saying, "Oh, bro, I'm already planning the playoff tickets. I'm already planning this right now." Are you still kind of pessimistic? I'm in that, you know. Or are you at a 1 where you're saying, "Same old Falcons"? And I will start with you, Travis. Where are you in chat? I see y'all jumping in. Please feel free to give from 1 to 10 your opinions on how excited you are coming into this year with the prospects of the Atlanta Falcons. Travis, what do you say, my brother?
I'm probably about at 8.5, close to a 9. And the reason why I won't go all the way to 10, I mean, I know the Kirk Cousins signing brings it up. We drafted Michael Penix, so I think some people are interested to know what is he gonna do. Like, is he gonna get a chance to see the field at any point? Because we know Kirk is coming off that Achilles. But the reason why I won't give it a full 10, because right now we don't truly know who's gonna be that cornerback two. We don't know what the pass rush is gonna truly look like. We drafted Berlin Trice. Um, I think there's still some wondering how's that gonna pan out. I think the offense is set in stone. We got a two-headed monster at running back. Got a good group of receivers where you can't just pinpoint one and say, okay, we're gonna double team him. Maybe Drake because of his height and because he's the presumed number one. But I think Mooney and Moore can be a sneaky options to where they can get theirs because they're not going to be focused on by the defense. But that cornerback too is got me intrigued. I know Clark Phillips has been a big topic. I think everybody is assuming that he's going to be cornerback too, with D offering in the slot. But it's still, I mean, you still can't take away the fact that he is only a second year guy. I would have liked to see them maybe go get Justin Simmons or a veteran cornerback, somebody that can come in and say, okay, when things are not looking their best, okay, come here, guys. Let me tell y'all what we about to do. So, and then like I said, the pass rush, I'm still a little iffy. How is Grady gonna be when he, coming back? That's my favorite Falcon, but still, what is he gonna be like coming back off this injury? Um, how is Rook gonna fit in? So it's there's still some questions on the defensive side. I think, like I said, I think the offense is pretty much set, but the defense, there's still some questions.
That's a lot of information from 9 to 10, bro. You got a short little. I thought you I thought you were gonna say, well, it's one thing. You went through the whole gamut on
I, I,
that, man.
I gotta give you, I
But
gotta
I,
give you the
but
reason.
I, thing that you said on that list. Is there anything that he omitted on that first, Dre? What do you think? And is there anything that you think he omitted on that list of
Uh,
concern?
no. Well, I mean, me personally. I'm not concerned about the defense because it's not like we've ever been like the Rams on defense or Philly on defense. So, you know, I don't know. I have, and and you guys know me. Most of the time, I try to take my fandom hat off, but I think it's more of fandom hat. I feel like this is 2016 all over again. I feel like we had the potential to have a high powered offense with a mediocre to below average defense and still make it far in the playoffs. We do have so many new pieces on defense that we don't know what they're going to do. So, I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt and say, I'm 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 in the 9.5, 10 for this upcoming season. I feel like for once we're gonna get back to deep bombs down the field, big plays, no more of this 3 yard dink and dunk crap for a whole 2 hours, like I was so sick and tired of watching boring Falcon football. I'm ready to be excited again. I'm ready to jump out my chair, run around the house screaming and yelling and hooping and hollering and acting a fool. Like I'm so excited, man. Like I see 2016 all over again, and if we can get our defense to just be what was it 20 what were we 21 27 something like that 2016. I know we were low. If we can just get our defense around there and still have that same offense, man, I'm all for it, especially in year one of a new coach, you know a whole lot of new players. If we can get that again, man, I'm here for it. So I feel like people calm down. Our defense ain't never been you know one of the greats in the league. We never had a Baltimore Ravens defense. But can our offense put them points on the board? That's what I want to see. So that's just me.
It's so funny, Dre, how the narrative changed because what has every fan been talking about, Tidy, for the last 5 years? If we have a top 10 defense, we'll be a good team. And last year, yes, I know we fell off with the New Orleans game and the Chicago game and whatever. Our defense was actually pretty good last year. And
Yeah,
we held teams sans a Minnesota game and a ridiculous Tennessee game. The majority of the games this year, we held the teams right at 20, right at
Yeah,
21.
but our offense couldn't do nothing.
But the offense can do anything. So
Right.
to your point, you don't need the Bears of 1985, the Ravens of 2000. You don't need to have historical defenses to win games. You just have to have a good balance between offense and defense. And I didn't mean to step on you, Tidy, for your opinion on that, because I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts or your excitement level is on the Atlanta Falcons when it comes to this coming year.
my excitement level, Steve, I'm at a 10, man. Being a total Falcons fanboy, even when I know we're gonna be sorry going into the season, I'm always excited. But this year I'm super excited. I'm at a 10, and the reason being, this is the first time since probably going into the 2017 season that I felt very confident. Like, look, we're gonna be a good team. We're gonna make the playoffs. And another component of it is I just like, one thing us fans a lot of times say, well, Falcons need to make a splash. All right, here go Kirk Cousins. They're gonna splash. Falcons need to make a splash. All right, we're gonna shock the world and take a quarterback at number 8 after we just signed one. So what I'm trying to say is they gave us a lot to talk about this offseason, around the draft time, around free agency. Yeah, this is the dead period now, June and July, but I'm super excited, man. I see at minimum 10 wins, and if we can really get it rolling, you could be looking at a 12-win Falcon team. So I'm at a 10.
I think we're gonna get 12. That's been my prediction. 12.
Okay. I like the excitement. I like the optimism. I like this a whole lot. I also like the bird cage here. My brother Ryan, the historian, is in the house. What's going on, my friend? Like I told y'all before, he had interview the other day with Lincoln
Lincoln
Kennedy
Kennedy.
on, and as far as the Birdcage is concerned, been doing some great interviews on that channel. My brother, what is going on? And I'm gonna jump you into the fireplace because we had about 2 questions. I'm gonna ask one non-football question right after I ask this. Uh, your excitement level from 1 to 10, 10 being the most excited. Where are you coming into the Atlanta Falcons 2024 season?
Well, first, before I put that up there, I heard no one mention Claude Humphrey being on that Mount Rushmore, who should be on the Mount Rushmore for the Falcons. That is a name that's been left out. And he was let's be real. The one lifelong Falcon, minus the 3 years that he played in Philly, was a lifelong Falcon and made the NFL Hall of Fame, who was a true Falcon. Tommy Nobis should be up there as well. So, those are just 2 names that I wanted to throw out. I don't have a problem with everybody else's Mount Rushmore, but my excitement level is high. The expectations are, how can I put it? I'll say my expectations are probably around, if it's on the 10, on Richter scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna say it's probably around a 20. Because of the fact that we're finally letting the general manager actually do his job. When you have a guy that clears the books and get us out of salary cap hell, and then gives us a top 10 defense with players on first and second year contracts, 1 and 2 year contracts, and we had the #1 red zone defense in the league last year, my excitement level had already went up. So now you're bringing in Raheem Morris, who's coached on both sides of the ball. He's bringing in a guy that comes from that Shanahan coaching tree. And now you have a chance to, as Tidy said a while ago, you brought in Kirk Cousins. That was a splash. And yeah, short term for right now. Michael Penix needs to sit and learn. We know that he's going to be the future. We know that he has top tier talent. We know this. If I got to compare his arm to anybody, I'm comparing it to a Warren Moon. If you want to compare his arm to anybody and you look at that deep ball. Now, as for wins, I think we're going to at least win 10 to 11 games. I'm not going to push it at 12 or whatnot, because this is everybody that's done play football, whether it's high school, college, you have to understand it's going to take time for that offensive staff to gel. Because yes, Kirk Cousins knows the offense, but you got to get your blocking scheme down with your offensive line, with that pass blocking, which we struggled with last year. Now you're going to also have to make sure the running game is going to stay consistent. Don't change anything about it. But again, we got new receivers coming in, learning routes. They got to get used to Kirk Cousins' timing when he's putting the ball in the air. It's a lot of intricacies that a lot of people aren't looking at when it comes to the offense. But I think our run game is going to camouflage a lot of the learning process that we're going to have in that passing game. Defensively, Jimmy Lake got to lean on Jerry Gray. He has to, because he's limited with his experience as a head defensive coordinator. You got a guy in Jerry Gray that's literally coached the defense before as a DC, and he's one of the best in the business, and he understands what those players are going through from being a former first-round pick and being a hell of a cornerback during his playing days. If no one knows about him, go ahead and Google him and look up his numbers. So I think the Falcons are in a great position to actually win this weak division that we're in. We should. And possibly win a playoff game and at least get to the divisional round. That's my prediction.
I'm glad you ended exactly where I was gonna go. So that was some good foresight. The NFC can be had aside of really San Francisco, and I have to give San Francisco over there. But it can Kyle Shanahan all they want to, but Kyle Shanahan had them in the mix every year. Aside of San Francisco, there's no reason to think you can't beat Detroit, Dallas, Philly, Green Bay, Seattle. I don't even know who made out of who else. Who else did anybody else make it out of
Detroit?
Yeah, the Rams. The Rams made it last year as well. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. There is no team on there that I feel like scares what the Falcons should be doing this year. There's no team. So I kind of go in that 9 category as well. Ryan brought up something real good when you were talking about the top 10 defense. I don't even think if you give me if we're a top 16 defense, number 16 or 17, if you could just hold the fort and with the subtraction of Tidy's favorite quarterback, Desmond Ritter, last year, we will probably be able to score at least 7 more points on the average. And if you go back and look at the Washington game, the Minnesota game, the Arizona game, the Tennessee game, all those games we lost by 1 score, I think Kirk Cousins will give you that extra push as far as going forward. I too with you guys. I agree that I feel very excited somewhere in the 9. I'm gonna wrap up this with a non-football question, but you're 4 guys that I respect your sports acumen. This week we had the NFL. I'm sorry, we had the NBA draft. Young Bronny James was miraculously selected by the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2nd round. I was very torn about this moment, not for reasons that people may think. I don't like manufactured moments, and I really feel like there's a part of me that thought it was very, whether you're a fan of LeBron or not, there's no way that either 4 of you, and you guys are smarter sports guys than I am, you're not going to sit here and tell me with a straight face that Bronny was better than a lot of those guys that were drafted this year. Do you feel like the manufactured moment of LeBron and Bronny is good for the game? Let me put a little asterisk before I go to you first, Dre. I'm going to put a little asterisk to say, if it was my son, absolutely, I would 100% do the same thing, but I would be a hypocrite because I feel like that was a moment that I did manufacture as well. Is that good for the game for LeBron to kind of hold the Lakers hostage to say, okay, draft my boy, and then I'll be back? I'll start with you, Dre, then I'm going to go Ryan, Travis, and then Ty.
So it's no secret I'm not a fan of LeBron. But I will say this: for the game, I think it's a bad look for the game. For us as a people, I think it's a great look because the fairer among us have been putting their kids in a position to win for eons. They have really, really mastered the art of generational wealth and producing it and keeping it. So for us as a people, I love the move, because it is showing others that how to create generational wealth, how to keep it, and all the good things that come with it. But on the flip side, the sports side, I think I don't think it's good for the game, and I think LeBron, yet again, to me, shows why you can't put him in the category of the greats, because Jordan didn't do it with his kids, Shaq didn't do it with his kids, well, Magic's son would rather play with Persis, but that's a different story. But other other players didn't do it with their kids. A great example is Gary Payton. Gary Payton's son had to get it from the rough. I just think it breeds entitlement into the game, and I think I feel like it was a desperate ploy because the WNBA is out what's
Outshining.
not out viewership. I forgot what out Nielsen outrating
Yeah, outshining.
the W. I mean the NBA, and to me, it just all the way around, man. I don't think it looks good, but for us as a people, amazing. Show us how to create generational wealth. But for the sport, yeah, I'm not. I think it was I think it was a bit clownish in my opinion.
Talk to me, Ryan.
Well, I gotta agree with him on that. I feel as if when you look at the how can I say it? When you look at the partisanship, you know, when it comes to the Lakers and how they run their business at this point, they're trying to figure out a way how to put asses in seats at this point. Because you got to remember, the Lakers are one of the royal blue bloods of the NBA, just like the Celtics are. And the Celtics just won a championship. So the Lakers are looking at a way that, okay, how can we put more butts in seats? And we got the father-son duo here, even though I feel like Bronny should have stayed another year or two in college and worked on his game because truthfully, he's not ready at all. We know that your dad came from different circumstances. Your dad literally had the weight of the world on his shoulders at 18. Now, I'm a Jordan fan. I'm sorry. I'm always going to be a Jordan fan, but I respect how LeBron figured out how to win, even though he had to go team with his rivals to win rings first before he won his own in Cleveland. And he had to learn how to win because all the greats eventually learn how to win. You know, you look at Isaiah Thomas; he was always in the Celtics locker room, and as well as the Lakers coming up, and it's well documented. Everybody has to go down the learning curve. So now the question is this: you have the nepotism in your back pocket, being LeBron James's son. How are you going to learn the game on a professional level? You got your dad, but your dad can only protect you but for so much because that front office controls a lot. Even though your dad is held them hostage, it's still a business at the end of the day. So now you're in a position to make generational wealth on your own, not using your dad's money. How are you going to come into the league? Because you're going to live in your dad's shadow as long as you're playing with him. And even when you go elsewhere, or if the Lakers trade you, you're going to forever be in that shadow. But as my man Dre was saying, when you talk about generational wealth and you're talking about putting your kids in a situation where they can actually have a better opportunity than you had, that's always amazing because us as black folks, and I'll say it, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm sorry, Dre. Us as black folks, we don't understand financial management coming up. We don't. A lot of us don't. And when you look at, instead of living for today, LeBron is trying to help his family live for the future. Just like you said about Shaq, he's teaching his kids how to get to that next level. I think Bronny could have stayed back another year or at least gone to a school that could have helped him develop as a basketball player because you already have the name. You should have gone to a school to help your skills out. So when you get to the league, you're not going to be heavily criticized because you might be lacking in one end. So I think this was a ploy for the Lakers to put asses in seats. But right now, we all know the Lakers are struggling right now just to be in a situation to win. So they have to find a way to make up for losing. That's just my opinion on that.
No, that's good. I 98.6%. I'm gonna agree with you with what you said, and even when you said about Bronny not being ready. I think from LeBron, I would call it beautifully selfish. And when I say that, I say as a dad, I get it. I get it.
I get it.
100% get it. To that Laker, the number 16 Laker that's not going to make the team this year, that knows he was good enough to make that roster, and he sits over there and see Bronny, who averaged 5 points. That, yes, I know, health withstanding last year, but who watched I'm sorry, second.
No, I was getting ready to ask you. Steve, and I want all y'all opinion on this because I'm gonna step out, man, because I definitely like what you're doing at the end of the show. This is definitely a great question.
Thank you, brother.
I would think, like, you look at the Ripken family, Cal Ripken Sr. Both of his boys ended up both playing for the Baltimore Orioles at one point. And a lot of people forget that, just like Ken Griffey Sr. helped his son get to the Mariners when he was there. So when we look at it, I don't think it should be a real big deal because we've seen fathers help their sons get to that next level.
Right.
I just think that Bronny should have stayed back to get developed. That's just me.
Right.
Thank you, Steve.
And hey, I appreciate it. I didn't want you to leave without saying the part I disagreed with you about. Only part I disagree with you about is I don't care who play for the Lakers. The Lakers are always going to sell out in their arena. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I say. During the lean years, the Lakers are going to sell out thanks to the contributions of Magic, Kareem, Jerry West, and folks prior to that. Almost like the Chicago Bulls now have no reason selling out arenas and stuff. But that legacy, and that's something we've talked about a lot, even with Falcons and football, that legacy has a lot to do with it because it gives you false hope sometimes. And I think with the Lakers will always have those seats. But your point is taken. But I just feel like I think that's one of the things. Brother Travis, it's your turn.
I definitely agree with Ryan and Dre. As a lifelong Lakers fan, basketball wise, it probably wasn't the best decision. Cause like Ryan said, you're not getting a player that's even ready for the league. I mean, he was averaging 2.5 points a game. We know he had the health scare last year, but what is this draft pick doing to improve the team? And of course, the Lakers are a brand within themselves. I mean, when you look at sports, you put the Lakers up there with like the Celtics, the Yankees, the Patriots. They are a brand unto themselves. But what they are now versus what they used to be, this move, although it's generational wealth, is helping him. What's going to happen when LeBron leaves? Cause is LeBron going to still be there? He's not going to still be there when the kid is in year 5, year 6. He probably not even going to be in LA in year 5 or year 6. So you need to help this kid in his game. He should have stayed in college, like Ryan said. He should have stayed in college because after that health scare, that's a huge move to make to say, okay, I had this health scare. Now I'm going to go try it in the NBA. When you already was not even that good on your team. I mean, one of his teammates would average like 15 points, 16 points a game, didn't even get drafted. So now, like you said, that last guy to get cut, he gonna look at Bronny and be like, "Oh, but you can stay." Bronny probably, if he gonna be drafted, he need to go to the G League and stay there. Don't even have him. I know they looking for the likes and the posts and the comments, the Instagram, because they're gonna want to say, "Oh, we got LeBron and Bronny James on the same team." Screw all that. Look out for the best interest of the kid at this point, because at this point he's almost being set up for failure. Because he's gonna have a lot of weight on his shoulders, already having the dad that he has. And now people are gonna look at, oh, you need to be like him. And Drake, Magic is my man. I know what you said about his son, but I ain't mad at you because I agree. But at the end of the day,
no disrespect. He'll rather carry a purse than a basketball. That's all I was saying.
Louis Vuitton, Chanel, all that stuff. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Do what you do, but I don't understand it. Anyway, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for Bronny, and is throwing him out there on ESPN on opening night gonna be the best for him? Cause what are you gonna do? Only thing you really gonna do is just get shots of him on the bench, unless LeBron already has JJ Redick in his pocket, which I didn't like that hire. Is LeBron already in JJ Redick's ear like, yo, you need to start my boy, or we gonna do right by this kid?
That's something we didn't even talk about. Is JJ? That's setting him up for failure. Because
Exactly.
how is JJ going to be able to coach him when you gotta not only, let's say JJ jump in his, worried about, all right, well, did I piss off LeBron? Like it's just bad all the way around, man.
But
JJ
I
is the
said
second
it.
coming of Eric Spoelstra right now.
I said it earlier, Dre, when you just mentioned about JJ Redick. Beautifully selfish, because he's the only person that would have gotten JJ Redick to coach the team, then turn around and sit them in a room, very fake people sitting all around acting like they were actually going to choose somebody else other than Bronny James for that second round pick. I
Yeah,
was
he
about to
didn't
say,
even go to the draft. Like he
right,
already knew he was picked.
again, manufactured TV. That's what LeBron is in business for, and I give total credit for that. But that's what he's in business for. I'm gonna answer these two questions, and I'm gonna bring my brother in here for the last question. And Tidy, I want you to end this, but I'm gonna answer these last two questions. Um, Antonio James says my thing is they use a second round pick. It's not that big of a deal. Again, tell that to the 16th person who's gonna get cut from the Lakers, knowing full well he probably had the ability to be on that team, but he's not going to make the team because LeBron's James' son is on the team. And he says the only
Bronny could have been
reason
an unsigned free agent.
yeah, pretty much. And he says the only reason Giannis' brother still has a job in the NBA is because of that. And again, you're right. And I think everybody else knows it's a joke too. But it's a little bit of difference. As great as Giannis is and whatever, he's not LeBron James. LeBron James is the ambassador for this sport. And for LeBron James to do it, it seems like more of a power move like that. Now, if Michael Jordan would have done it back in the 90s, we would have probably gave him the same criticism if that would have happened, but he didn't. And to your point, y'all said Shaq. And if Shaq would have stuck around too long, if who else did y'all say earlier? Oh, Gary Payton would have stayed around too long. We'd all say the same thing. Winston, my brother Winston is here from the eye test. What's going on, my friend? Thank you for joining us here in the lounge. Right quick, I'm gonna let you get a piece of this question because we were getting ready to step out, but I saw you standing out there, and if you're braving anything above 90-degree weather, I felt like I need to give you an opportunity to speak on this real quick. The LeBron situation with Bronny before I get tired.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Well, one, hold on. It's hot. It's hotter than a firecracker in a kettle pot. But beyond that, like, man, isn't that what a father's supposed to do? I mean, like, majority of on the planet, we have children. Hold on.
Hey man, if you're at Buc-ee's right now, you might need to go into the bathroom so we could. Are you? Are you?
No, I ain't on the subway trains in New York.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, that's why I muted it. That's why I muted it. But I mean, like, let's be honest. Majority of us on this panel, I mean, we have children. I got two myself. And if I sit there build myself up, and I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build myself up so that, therefore, not just my first name, but my family name holds weight. Like, aren't you supposed to put your child in a better position than what you came into?
Nobody debated that part. You probably missed that part, Winston. That was the part that I said I put an asterisk by. You probably didn't hear. I said as far as him doing it for, his son is I get it. Any dad would do that for their son or daughter. Anyone.
Absolutely.
I guess as far as towards the franchise, does it mess up the franchise?
So let's go into the numbers. So Bronny averaged like 4.8 points, like 3.6 assists, and then like two rebounds, right? All right.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have to understand when he did that, he was coming back from a heart attack, but he had a surgery. He missed the first game of the first 8 games of the season. See what I'm saying? Now, even beyond that, let's look at other historical great players. Russell Wilson, I mean not Russell Wilson, Russell Westbrook. He averaged less in his rookie season. Russell Westbrook averaged less than Bonner did in his rookie season. And he's a short guy.
But
Huh?
see, you can't. The only thing, Winston, you can't extrapolate his college numbers last year to USC to what he's going to do with LA. By most
You have to.
definitions,
That's
somebody. No,
exactly.
you can't. I'm gonna tell you why you can't do that. Name the last rookie. Anybody on the panel? Name the last rookie that had gaudy numbers in college and came in afterwards and overdid that when they got to the pros in the basketball. Name anybody. In other words, they
Any era or
20,
recently,
they average
Steve.
25. No, I can't say 25. Average 22 in college. In their first year in pro, they averaged 25.
Kareem, got to give it to the captain. Kareem was one who did it.
Okay.
On every level, Kareem was one. And you got another one who did it. You got another one who did it too. Now, Dean Smith is the only man to keep Michael Jordan under 21 points. Everybody knows that.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Jordan wasn't even really starting that freshman year when he held him under 20 points because he also had kind of
not just the freshman year. You got to look at his whole career. Dean Smith held him under 20 points his whole career. And when he went to Chicago, he took off because Dean never wanted anybody to be bigger than that program. So Kareem because the cap did it on every level.
You named two of arguably two people who are arguably in the conversation of top 10 players of all time. So
Clyde Drexler's another one.
Who?
Clyde Drexler, another one. He did it at Houston and did it in the pros.
Yeah, I'm talking about the first year. The first year. The very first year.
And I gave you 3 in the first year. The reason I said Clyde is because he was very underrated coming into the league. Everybody knows that.
So let me set this up. And thank you, Red. I appreciate you joining us in here. I see you, Red, and I'm gonna ask you the question because I know you're the resident Laker fan. After we get to Tidy, we're gonna ask Tidy first. Say what now?
I'm a Laker fan too.
Yeah. Oh, you're a Laker fan too? My bad. Hold on 1 second. Let me get you right. You say you're a Laker fan. Right. All right. We got Eddie here for the Laker fan. So I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna go back because I want to be fair about the question I asked. LeBron, you name 3 Hall of Fame-ish players, 3 players who came out of college with extraordinarily high ceilings. Would we not agree? Would anybody agree? If you agree with me that Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Clyde Drexler had high ceilings coming out of college, raise your hand. Okay, so let's go to Bronny James. Bronny James, who couldn't even, yes, I understand the heart condition, brother. Life ain't fair.
He ain't on that level.
But he's not at that level. And I loved it. I knew Ryan Smart behind would come out with some numbers and some good players. I knew he would. But at the same time, Ryan, you know where I'm going. Stop playing with me.
No,
You
I
know
was
where
just
I'm
messing
going.
with you, Steve.
No,
Bronny ain't on. I'll be
good.
real. Bronny ain't on that level to where he could carry. Like you saw the potential with those guys carrying those.
Play a team.
And they had great players on those teams. He's a role player.
Right.
Bronny's gonna be a role player in the NBA. I'll give you that, Steve. I just wanted to, I got to throw a little something in there.
You know I'm messing with you, Tidy. I apologize. One of the reasons I had you last with this because I wanted to not last. I know Red. Because I respect your ability to take your fandom hat off in certain situations. Just like your love of Drake doesn't exactly make you a very fair person when you start talking about Kendrick. I know you love Hotline Bling over DNA. I get it. But as far as this particular situation right here, but tell me how you feel about the situation. Let me circle back to the original question as far as just the whole thing as it went down with the Lakers going out and drafting Bronny on the team.
All right. To answer your question, is it good for the game of the NBA? No, it's certainly not good for the NBA. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's not good or conducive for the game of basketball in regards to the NBA specifically. Bronny he's not that good where he should have been drafted where he was drafted. So as you have alluded to, Steve, he took the place of somebody who was more deserving and more talented as a basketball player. So it's definitely not good for the game, the NBA itself. Now, on the other perspective of it, because it's a lot of layers with this, as we've already said, if this was our kid, of course. The Lakers themselves, when people say LeBron hijacked the Lakers, I don't think he hijacked the Lakers. They are, contrary to what some people may think, they're very smart people that run the Lakers. The Lakers had every opportunity in the world to say, no, we're not going to draft your son. If that's the only way you're going to come back, good luck in the next chapter of your career. We'll save our $60 million a year and spend it elsewhere. So the Lakers had choices. I relate this, Steve, even back to the Atlanta Falcons. Like when a lot of people criticize Julio Jones, well, Julio Jones, took all our money, then he asked to be traded. Well, the Falcons could have said no. The Falcons had an option. They had a choice. Nobody put a gun in anybody's head in flowery branch and say, hey, you got to pay Julio this money or else. The Lakers made this move because, one, they are the Lakers. This is Showtime. This is Hollywood. LeBron is Showtime. LeBron is Hollywood. Another thing, if you go back as a Lakers fan, you go back a little bit in more recent Lakers history. You go back to the end of the Kobe Bryant era when he tore his Achilles. He was never the same player anymore. He started to age and he started to decline. The Lakers had 5 losing seasons, and they were some bad seasons. And the Lakers front office and ownership, they caught all kind of flack. And it was just a real bad time being a Lakers fan, and I'm sure being a Lakers executive. Into LeBron James, and they've only had 2 losing seasons since LeBron has been there. So the Lakers do realize, don't get me wrong, they want to win championships, but they do realize, look, at least we know we're going to win with LeBron here. Yeah, he's older, but he's still great enough where we're going to at least get to the playoffs. Another component about this team, especially with Boston just winning the championship, the Lakers do want to win. I don't want to, look beyond that. But there's a financial stimulus package that comes with LeBron James. There was a study done. LeBron's first 5 years, and this is just in LA. You can look at other teams he's played for also and see similar numbers. But just in LA alone, LeBron James brought $400 million to that economy in Los Angeles. More specifically, the franchise. $30 million in tax revenue. And also, I think it was 3,000 more jobs. Wow. So the Lakers don't want to lose that kind of money. And as a business, which all professional sports franchises are, you want to make sure you make as much as you can and also win. So they just did not want all that to walk out the door. And I think somebody else may have said this, but if I'm looking at it, from an objective standpoint, yeah, he took the spot of somebody that was better, but it's the 55th pick in the NBA draft. That's not like a late second-round pick in the NFL. If you do the history on the 55th pick in the NBA draft, you're going to have a lot of homework on your hands because the players picked at that point, they normally don't do a lot in the league. It's nothing like the NFL draft. So, in closing, I look at it like this. The Lakers traded the 55th pick in the draft to get LeBron James and keep him there another 3 or 4 years. They feel like it was worth it. This is not the first time we've seen something like this in sports. Even though he's an exceptional coach, would Kyle Shanahan be the head coach of the 49ers in his mid-30s if it wasn't for Mike Shanahan? Keeping it with the Lakers, would Luke Walton have been the head coach for the Lakers if it wasn't for Bill Walton playing all those years there? Would Bobby Knight's son been the head coach at Indiana if it wasn't for his father? So there's a lot of examples you can go with this. And you call it, Steve, you said it's beautifully selfish on LeBron's part.
Right.
And that is a perfect description. I'm sure, Steve, this was more a dream of LeBron than it was running. I'm sure that's going to be such a satisfying feeling being able to play with the kid you changed his diapers 20 years ago. So that's my opinion on it.
I say that, and that the last point you made was so good. The only possible negative of that, which you just mentioned at the end, because what does every son, and all of us have been sons, what do we all inspire to do? Yes, we'll take help from our parents or loved ones who brought us up, but we also want to make it on our own. And I think as much as this moment was a beautiful, it was an ESPN moment, it was a social media moment and all of that, but Bronny has to have a little bit of, hey, did I really do this myself? Or did my dad, was my dad super significant in that? Again, I'm not mad at his opportunity he's gonna get. But as a 20-year-old man, I can tell y'all right now that I would probably be a little, thanks, but man, I would have loved to have been able to. I would love to be Marvin Harrison Jr. and have people that were clamoring for my services as opposed to, come on, son, sneak in the back door and
Steve,
get
it's
on
a
the
difference
team.
though with Marvin Harrison Jr. though. Marvin Harrison Jr. was good. That is the difference.
Yeah, that's my point.
That's why I was saying like major difference in that one. Because I agree with you on that. Like you said earlier about the heart condition, I don't think that's part. You can't help what happens to you. But even before the heart condition, he struggled bad. So that's why I was saying I think he still would have gotten in, like you said, with his name. But man, all I can say is I pray that the young man. I'm not even a Laker fan. I'm a Hawks fan. And it hurt to say that right now because of what we've done, but it's what it is. But as just not being no hating type of dude, I want the kid to do well because he's already getting ready to have a ton of pressure on him once his dad steps away. I just pray for him, Steve. That's all I can say. I pray for him.
You made a perfect point when you said Marvin Harrison, Joey Porter Jr., Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, go down the list of some of these first round football players who made it. Look, football, you can't fake it.
Nope.
Football, and I'm not saying Bronny is faking it, but you can't pretend.
Shoot.
Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't doing that with Smoke and Mirror. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a quarter away from beating the Georgia Bulldogs in 2022 and making his legacy even bigger.
I mean,
till Javon the bell ringer came up and knocked him out, but you know.
Go ahead,
Bronny wasn't even the best at Sierra. Wade's son, in my opinion, Wade's son was better than him at Sierra. So, like, I understand as all of us on here who have kids would absolutely put our kids in this position. That goes without saying. But as far as like the actual doing of it, I feel like it definitely ruined the game. Especially when so many other fathers never stepped in that role, which was their choice. I'm sure Wade could pull strings and get his son pulled in at Miami, and Shaq could pull strings and get his daughter, who's a beast, in the WNBA immediately. Like I get it, but no one but LeBron did this though. So to me, that speaks volumes.
Because what are you really teaching him?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
I was just gonna say, what are you really teaching Bronny? Once, like I said, LeBron not gonna be there forever. LeBron gonna be 40 this year. What are you really teaching him? Like I said, when LeBron leaves, you on your own. So is your talent gonna get you to that next step in your career, or once your dad will leave, are you gonna leave too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay attention and focus the next 2 or 3 years, maybe.
I apologize.
Ask this question.
I apologize. Hold on one second. Let me get my brother. Somebody's echoing. Mute your thing 1 second, Winston. Let me see if that's you. That red. Come back, Winston. Come back, Winston. No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I introduced my brother Red. Red is on the Red and Rev and Coach Show on Saturday mornings. Y'all check him out on Facebook and on YouTube. They do some great stuff on there. And it is my pleasure to have him on the panel. And if it's probably nobody as far as the four of us or the rest of us on the panel who are more qualified to talk about this particular move, as Red is a unabashed LA Laker fan. So
the number one LeBron fan on social media.
Let me tell you, I told him on a post. Soon as it happened, I told him, I said, you were the first person. I don't know if you remember that. I wrote that. I said, you were the first person I wanted to see what you were going to say about this. So, my brother, the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, seems like I'm following last because everybody, especially tight, don't pretty much say it all, or at least express some of the same feelings I've had toward this thing. It's pretty much, it's all about keeping LeBron happy doing his last few years in LA, and I knew Bronny was gonna be drafted by the Lakers for a few months now, so it's like it never really came as a surprise to me. I've been preparing myself for it. Had they not drafted him with the 55th pick, that would have been more of a shock than them drafting him. So, and we all know it was nothing but nepotism. I mean, it's pretty much all it was, because we all know the kid's talents didn't afford him this position. But hey, I mean, he's not the first person to get a job in this country. in sports, even on a team, without nepotism. So at that point go, I'm not that upset with it. And like Titus said, I mean, pick 55, dude, you can basically take clowns from the YMCA or playing ball on the street at that point of the draft. I'm probably not even paying attention to where most of these guys coming from anyway. So if you want to take a gamble with Bronny, knowing that's gonna make his dad happy, knowing that's gonna keep him keep things stable in LA for the next 2 or 3 years, that's fine. As long as we not sacrificing winning for this, as long as we not playing sorry basketball the next few years or playing lottery basketball the next few years, fine. And Bronny, well, this was kind of a no choice for him because, like we all said, he's not that talented anyway. So I can't really think of any team in the NBA other than playing with his dad where he could possibly get better in the next 2 or 3 seasons to maybe make some sort of career for himself, even if it's an 8 to 10 year career. I mean, like Austin Rivers did, to make some sort of career for himself going forward. Him playing with his dad was probably the best thing for him because I can't think of any other team in the NBA that would have helped him coming out right now at this point of his career. Because, like you say, he didn't do anything at USC, didn't do anything in high school. But what we know he did, he played basketball in the backyard with his dad. He played basketball on at home with his father. So the one person he probably has played his best basketball with is on his team. And that's a silly thing about it. So whatever Bronny has, whatever talent he has, as far as basketball wise, it ain't coming out for playing nowhere but with his father. And if his father can help his game out in the next 2 or 3 years, maybe he can have somewhat of an NBA career going forward that might last more than 5 years. And that's the only way he's gonna last. I can't see any other team in the NBA that he could have went to. Folks saying, what if the Hawks drafted him? Please, the Hawks. What in the world can the Hawks do for Bronny James? Not a doggone thing. Nobody can help this kid out, but his dad.
Can't do nothing with the guards that y'all have. So then we talk about Bronny James. For 2, let's understand the type of player that Bronny was when he was in high school. Bronny was averaging close to 20 points in high school. He missed 8 games at the beginning of his college career and got drafted. You got nepotism, whatever. You get drafted off your potential. Because if you, I put it to you like that, if you think nepotism was the reason that Bronny got drafted, then what does it say about your Hawks sitting there drafting what his name? Zakir Vishachi, whatever, however you pronounce it. The mindset isn't there. See what I'm saying? Then Bronny potential, his ceiling will be a Drew Holiday. That's a glue championship player.
Winston.
That's his ceiling.
Winston.
Y'all can sit there and keep harping on what he did in college, but he was only in college for half a season.
Winston. He wasn't even the best player on his high school team.
He was not.
Honestly, he was not. He was
all right. So Russell Westbrook wasn't the best player on his high school team because Kevin Love was.
Okay. I'm gonna ask this question.
You can't sit there and try to single out one person because
yes, I can. Yes, I can. You know why I can? Because the Lakers said off of 1 year where he wasn't that good at USC, stop making excuses for his part, because there are players who go through not only the same thing, but might go even worse. Stop making excuses. You're telling me that somebody who averaged 5.8 a game is going to have a major
after a heart attack. Wait a minute. Don't leave that part out. After a heart attack. And then go ahead.
I'm gonna let you finish. Go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, if you sit there grade just on his college career for half a season as a player, you have to put in all factors. The
So
man had a heart attack before the season started.
how do they get drafted? I don't understand.
Dre, answer this
He was
question. And
drafted regardless.
no,
He was
Winston.
gonna get drafted
There is
regardless.
no player.
But then
Winston,
y'all
hold on
leave
one
out
second.
the
Hold on one
go.
second, Winston.
Go
Hold on one
go
second.
on.
Name me one player, Dre, Red. Name me a player who's going in college, who's going to average 5.8 points, and you're going to enter your name into the NBA draft and legitimately get drafted in the second round. Do you know
Nobody.
what happened?
Nobody.
And those players, they're going to go to the NBA draft combine. And you know what 99.9% of them not named Bronny James are going to? They're going right back into college, or they're going overseas to play, or they're going to G League.
They were in the draft and go to the G League.
Uncle Steve, they gonna look in the mirror and face reality and say, you know what? I need to go do something else.
Hold on, Red, say it again. You gotta let one person talk.
After everything you said, I added one to it. I said, or they gonna look in the mirror and say, what am I doing? I need to be doing something else. They gonna come to UPS with me.
Absolutely.
Or they will get drafted and go to the G League to develop. That's usually what happened with a second round pick. That's usually what happened with a second round pick. Most second round picks do not make the roster. They will go to the G League.
I don't even think you're hearing me. I don't think he would have been drafted at all coming off a season where he averaged 5.8 in his season. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. There are players who have averaged 18, 20 points a game for their college, and they will go back because the NBA draft prospect, the NBA, what do they call it? The draft camp. They will go back and tell them, go back.
All right, so then go back to the combine. Go to the combine and go look at what he tested at in the combine. See what I'm saying? Go look at what he tested at in the combine. Then go test what he go look at how he tested when he worked out for LA and Phoenix.
And why?
That's why he got
only worked out for 2 teams.
That's exactly what I said. That's why he got drafted. But there were several teams before, and don't leave that out. There were several teams.
Not several teams that were gonna be looking for. You know what they were looking for? You know why they were looking for?
The ESPN report is wrong.
The ESPN report is slanted. All of them cats are friends with LeBron James. Ryan Windhorst, the Dave McMahon guy, all of them are buddies with LeBron James. If they say something negative about LeBron, LeBron is going to write them off. Red, am I telling a lie? Gray, am I telling a lie? Those cats are in cahoots with LeBron. If you do something against LeBron, LeBron will cut you off.
You see, he just cut Rachel Nichols off.
Even if he cut Rachel, well, he unfollowed Rachel Nichols. He did, right. But at the same time, before the second round of the draft, they had already issued a statement. If you draft Bronny is going to Australia to go play ball. They did that before the draft because numerous teams were trying to draft him.
I'm glad you're saying this. You're absolutely right. So what does that tell you, Winston? That Bronny James is so great that any other team that's gonna draft him, he gonna go to Australia instead of playing in the NBA, realizing his dream. So let's just say hypothetically, the Washington Wizards said, you know what? We're going to draft LeBron James with one of our first-round picks. Hey, give him a guarantee. Isn't a number one pick? Doesn't that give you a guaranteed contract?
I'm not negating like how great he is or whatever. I'm saying that he has enough potential that other teams wanted him, but they wanted him to go to the Lakers. Point blank period. Point blank period.
No,
So don't sit there and say that he only got drafted because of his daddy. Don't do that
he
because
only
it's
got
proven.
drafted because his daddy's name is LeBron.
Hold
Okay.
on, hold
If
on,
you
hold
think
on. Let
any
me
other way, Winston, you got to be
let,
kidding.
let me
You
Go ahead,
can't
Drake.
sit there and say that. I'm sorry. You can't
Hold
sit
on.
there and say
let
it.
me let me say this.
When
Let me
there
say
was
this real quick.
Hold on, Winston. Let
before
Dre
the
speak
second
in.
round.
Winston, let Dre speak in. Hold on, go ahead.
So just for point of reference, Isaac Jones, he played for Washington State. This boy averaged 15 points, 7.6 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and was 57% field goal. Got drafted after Bronny James. Like, come on, bro. What are we talking about? Like, it's really you're not taking your fan hat off, bro. Like, it's crazy.
Winston or Red, one of y'all turn your volume down. It's echoing. One of y'all two volumes is echoing.
My turn almost all the way there.
Okay. I think that might have been. Okay, go ahead.
Drake, coach, let's be honest. When you look at the NBA draft, it's all about fit. Because it's not a 53-man team. It's not a 53-man team. So you need a fit. If I think that I can develop you enough to be an effective player within my scheme and my system, then I'm gonna take you over this person and score a whole bunch of points. Like you a Hawk fan. Y'all just did the exact same thing. Y'all just did it with the first pick. You had Sar right there, would have been the best addition to your team, and I don't know how long since Trae Young. And what y'all do? Y'all go pick up Ford and sit there and play exactly like JJ. How did that make sense? How did that make sense? But y'all sitting there worried about what the Lakers did with the 55th pick when the draft is over at what 60?
You're starting to meld into a different conversation. Winston, nobody
No,
talking
no,
about that.
no. I'm just saying because
Winston, hold on a second. Let me host the show.
go ahead.
What I'm telling you is you are melding the situation. We didn't even talk about the Hawks. We're talking about the situation of LeBron, of Bronny being drafted on his team.
Okay.
And whether, hold on, because you answer them before they make them know you're not receiving. What I'm telling you is we're talking about the situation of LeBron having a big factor in bringing Bronny on as a second round pick. I'm not worried about what the Hawks do right now. That was the question I was asking. Dre, finish your point real quick because I did want to jump off here in a couple of minutes. I'm gonna let you finish, Dre, then Red, then I'll let you finish. Go ahead, Dre.
Yeah, man. It's just as we've all said, it definitely was nepotism. But good luck to the young man. As a cultural move, it was great to see. LeBron show. That we as a people can do generational wealth move. So I applaud him for that. But as the game of basketball and strictly just basketball, I think it was a move that will come to ruin basketball. But good luck to the young man, and good luck to LeBron. It is what it is. So.
Absolutely. Red, go ahead.
Well, I agree with everything great, except for I don't really think I don't know how it's gonna ruin basketball. I mean, this is maybe a once in a lifetime thing. You ain't gonna see too many players staying long or playing long or even have that power to play as long as LeBron to even play with their son. So really, this is just one of them Ken Griffey Sr., Ken Griffey Jr. moments. I think we need to embrace the historical aspect of it because y'all know I am not the biggest LeBron fan. And the fact that I'm actually kind of interested in seeing a father and son play on the NBA court together, man. Like I say, long as it don't get in the, as long as it don't get in the way of us winning, because I'm still expecting to win this year, especially after the Celtics just got their 18. You know, we better be playing by 18. But even with that, I don't think Bronny being on the team is gonna keep the Lakers from winning this year. Like I say, he'll probably be a role player, come off the bench, and you know when he get on that court, you know who to look for. Look for Dad. He'll tell you what to do. Y'all know, I'm pretty sure he'll know the plays. Look, I think people are underestimating little LeBron's mindset and intelligence and his strength. People keep saying, the season and the media gonna bring him down. You better watch out because the media gonna be. I don't think LeBron Jr. should be used to this already. I mean, the guy been in the spotlight since he been a baby. So what exactly is the media gonna do to him to make him come on the basketball and play scared? He's not gonna be playing scared playing with his daddy. So look, it is nepotism. The kid was not good enough to be drafted where he was drafted. With that being said, you still got to embrace the historical aspect of it. And hey, my Lakers better be going for ring number 18. I know that.
Oh, y'all going for that back-to-back in-season tournament?
Oh. That don't count. I want championship 18, not INT championship 18, not the IST. But I think now folks should be more upset with JJ Redick being hired as a coach. If you want to talk about LeBron's power, that's the power of LeBron right there. His son being drafted, you knew that was gonna happen.
I didn't want to say I love everybody that been on the panel, everybody in the chat. Ain't no hostility, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. I just feel the way I feel about it. But I will be addressing this scenario because you brought it up. Wednesday. You know, we got our show on Wednesday. Please slide through. Red will be there. Let's carry on the conversation. Please.
I appreciate it, brother. And listen, y'all make sure again, y'all check out Winston on the eye test with my brother John Harris. Y'all make sure y'all check Red out. Guys, you all have been awesome. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna break out of here. We probably went over a little bit longer than I thought on this, but at the same time, I appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you. We will be back for the minutia tomorrow. Thank you so much.